Welcome to One on One with Mitch Lafon. On this episode, I shine a spotlight on some up-and-coming bands. First up, from the band GEMINI Syndrome, it is Aaron Nordstrom talking about their new album, Memento Mori. And on the second side, we have Mickey V from the band Chains Over Razor talking about their new album, Crown the Villain, and working with one of the Appice or Appice brothers. Before checking out the two interviews, please check me out on Twitter at Mitch Lafon, MITCHLAFON. One on One, Mitch Lafon on Facebook, and paypal.me/Mitch Lafon if you care to support the podcast. And without further ado, here is the one, the only, Aaron Nordstrom of GEMINI Syndrome. We are speaking with Aaron Nordstrom of the band GEMINI Syndrome. The new album is Memento Mori, produced by Kane Churko, and of course the father, Kevin, helped out. Talk to me a little bit about the new album, because it's sort of the second part in a trilogy, correct?
Yeah. So, we have a kind of a 3-record idea, going over the cycle of basically the universe, birth, existence, and death, or transformation, if you will. So this being the second installment, Lux was kind of our first record, our first, musical offering, and kind of focused on, my younger years, kind of coming of age, getting comfortable in your skin, figuring out who you are, blah, blah, blah. And then this is a little more focused, much more focused, I should say, on kind of the middle experience, like after you become, closer to the person that you think you are or want to be, the experiences that come with that. And for me, part of that was realizing my own mortality.
Right.
And realizing that this isn't a forever thing, and trying to come to terms with that, and then using that as a motivator to not take anything for granted.
Where does the realization of the mortality come in for you? Is it just because we all die at some point, or was there some kind of event in your life where somebody had some kind of illness, or you have some kind of illness? Like, where did that need to express that come from?
I started dealing with death pretty early, and my dad died when I was 15, and I've lost a lot of friends along the way. And it was never really, an illness for me. It was always sudden death. And then, as I got older, I thought I was invincible as a kid,
Well, we all did, didn't we?
Right. And, I struggled with depression when I was young, and I struggled with suicide and that kind of stuff. And it was, as a kid, as I wanted to die, as I got older, and I noticed that, how enriched my life had become because of these people that then they weren't there anymore, and realizing that someday that'll be too,
Yeah.
And I did find myself sick and in the hospital a couple of years ago, and it was a very, for the lack of a better word, it was a very sobering experience. When you get that close to realizing that, I could have died, it gives you a certain appreciation for the fact that you're still here. It gave me, I should say, appreciation for the fact that I'm still here.
Yeah.
And to utilize all my time as much as I can, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I can certainly sympathize with that. I had 2 heart surgeries, the last one in March of 2015, and they said, you're not coming out of this. There's like a 10% chance. And, man, it refocuses you really quick. I mean,
absolutely.
Listen, I talking about depression wasn't part of what I had prepared, but sort of, how do you see yourself on the other side? I mean, we sort of all know how we get depressed. Stuff goes bad in our life, but how did you pull yourself out of it? And are you at the point now where you've walked away from it, or are you still sort of walking on eggshells where I got to be careful?
It's like splitting the difference.
Right.
I'm not complete, I think that's part of life in general. Maybe it's just my experience, but I think everybody kind of deals with that. And if anybody's figured it out and they're, totally free of everything and they have that kind of Buddha enlightenment, then God bless them for it.
Right.
For me, it comes in day in and day out. Some days are harder than others. Some days are easier than others. And, from being in a band, touring with a whole group of people and seeing all those different personalities every day, and, I'm married, I see my wife, and, just watching that closely, watching different people and how they struggle with whatever their battle is. You know,
Right.
I don't think it's just a be all end all one way or the other. I think it has to be kind of a balance.
Right. No, I agree. Now, so let's get back to Memento Mori for a second and the band. You know, starting off a new band is exceptionally difficult, and then going into this trilogy, is it a high gamble to sort of have a trilogy straight off and not be sort of like 15 years into the career?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You know, conceptually, it's kind of developed organically anyway. It was kind of like, as we wrote Lux and we started kind of planning, you know, what was going to happen in the future, it just seemed organic, and then that was what we were going to write about anyway.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So It was like, well, let's fine tune it and actually make that a plan. And I mean, I don't know why not try it, you know?
I agree. Now, you changed a couple of band members along the way. Has that shifted the focus at all, or has it re-energized the focus?
Absolutely re-energized.
Okay. And
you know,
so,
like you said, starting up a new band, it's hard work, and we built this from the ground up, doing grassroots for the first couple of years, really slugging it out on our own and whatnot. And you know, life happens, and people make choices or get forced to make choices that take them in different paths. You know?
Yeah.
And as far as where, you know, the vision for what we were doing, as far as that's concerned, none of that got affected. I think, you know, when Daniel and Charles came into this, they were fully aware of where we were going with it, and were totally on board. You know, and as far as the writing process, you know, before we got the two new guys, it was just AP, Brian, and myself writing this record. And so the core of it, you know, the three of us were already, you know, that was already part of the plan. So bringing in Daniel and Charles, it's just like new fuel to the fire and new creative ideas as far as guitar playing. You know what I mean? Like, we were already kind of there, and they jumped on board and gave more seats. So it kind of worked out, I think, for the best overall.
now, another question with the new members is, you just mentioned that the writing team was sort of the three core guys. Is that how you see the band moving forward, as the three core guys, or do you really want to make it the five and let's keep going, like, with Daniel and Charles as the guys down the road?
That's absolutely the plan.
Okay.
You know, and we're already considering that it is a concept, like 3 album cycles. You know, even though this record's not out, we're already coming up with ideas for what direction we'll take the third one. You know what I mean? We're already planning ahead as much as we can. And Dan and Chuck, man, they're great players. They're great dudes. They're in this, like, fully with us. You know, they're already acclimated themselves as family. So I don't look at them as hired guns by any.
The other thing I want to touch on also is the anonymous video. You made it a 360 video, which is real trippy to watch on at least on my iPhone. It was trippy to watch. Talk to me about using the technology and giving the fans a different experience.
Okay, so the idea was between Brian Cox, the director, and ourselves. Brian brought it up. We thought that was a really cool idea. There's been some bands that have done it. It is newer technology, so it's, you know, it's kind of cutting edge, I guess. It seemed like something exciting to do. It also kind of lends itself that there's so much going on inside of that video. You almost have to watch it 5 or 6 times if you want to really catch what's going on. If you understand how the technology is really working, like, if you just kind of watch one part of it, you're missing all this other stuff that's happening behind you. And it was an interesting process in the sense that, you know, the director is in every shot. He's hiding it behind one of the masks because the camera rig gets set up at the center of the room, and all the action is happening, you know, in every direction around. So there was no way for him to be in the shot directed, you know, and be hidden without actually, like, participating in something. So that was an interesting experience. And then there's other shots too where, like, they would put me in a room by myself with the camera and have me do a few passes through and just kind of, like, almost self-direct, I guess. And that was weird too, because you're used to having guidance and having somebody kind of behind the camera, like saying, okay, do this now, and this happens right now. And there was none of that in the 360 so much, you know what I mean? Then the choreographed scenes, kind of the kung fu fighting, during the breakdown where drums are happening. All of that had to be simultaneously going off perfect, or as close to perfect as possible.
Yeah,
So it was
wild.
It's a whole new ballgame, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun to watch too. Now, the tour dates I have in front of me run out in the middle of August. What's happening in the fall for the band?
We are out on this tour till September 9th.
Okay.
We'll be announcing the rest of those dates soon.
And then what happens after September 9th?
We have a couple weeks off, and then we go to Houston Open Air Festival on, I think, the 24th of September. And then we are locking in details for a couple of tours that'll take us pretty much up till the holidays. I can't say what they are yet because they're not 100% confirmed, but I'll leave it to, it's going to be really exciting for us. And it's about 99% there. It's just not published yet.
What do you think is the one thing that is most important for a younger band or a newer band to get noticed and get a career out of it? Is it working the social medias? Is it just making great albums? I mean, sort of what's the magic wand to make sure that Gemini Syndrome is here 20 years down the road?
Well, I'll tell you this for sure. There is no magic wand. There's no magic formula. It is social media for sure. It is writing good music for sure.
Absolutely.
If you don't have good music, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And then it comes down to hustle. Like you have to work. The days of like signing a record deal and becoming a millionaire overnight, and then suddenly having I never have to move my own gear, blah blah blah. Like those days are long gone. Like ancient history gone. Unless you're a pop act and you're getting played on the pop radio and stuff like that. But for a band, for a rock band or a metal band, you got to work. And every show you play, every person you deal with, every venue, just treat people with respect. Because word travels fast. And if you come in with like diva attitudes, it gets back to everybody else. And that ties in to, I guess, my last point is connect with your fans. Even when it is as little as a band might be, when you're starting out, you're going to get those, let's say, 2 or 5 fans or whatever that just love your band. Keep relationships with them. Build friendships.
Absolutely.
Because those are going to be your soldiers that go out and spread the word for you when you can't. I mean, at this point, like I said earlier, we did this really grassroots in the beginning, and we made friends. We were like traveling in a van, and people would let us stay at their house or whatever. Now, 6.5, almost 7 years later, we go back through all those same cities, and those people are now very close friends. And we keep in touch when we're not in the area. And the family's grown, and those people, like, being genuine with people and just building that kind of community and family bond, I mean, that's what this band is entirely built on, is relationships with people, like quality relationships. So I think, like I said, work, treat people well, and hopefully be good at your craft.
Yeah, that's that. Hard work is understated sometimes in the music business, but you got to bust your chops. And Brett Michaels of Poison once told me, I don't care if there's 4 people in the audience, I'm always playing to a sold out Madison Square Garden, and that's the way you got to do it. You can't just say, oh well, there's only 4 people tonight, I'll do a half-ass set. No, you got to bust your chops every night. Yep. I'll
tell you this: in the beginning of this, we played in Lincoln, Nebraska, like years ago, and there was a friend of ours to the left of Lincoln and a friend to the right. And they both let us stay at their houses while we were traveling through. Yeah. Those were the 2 people in the audience. We did full production. We put on a whole show. And, it does, like, that quote from Brett's great, you know what I mean? And mine's kind of like 550, 500, 5,000, I don't care. It's all the same.
Yep.
I just saw some fans last night that had come out to a show in Pennsylvania a couple of weeks ago. It's one of the nastiest blizzards they had seen in like 10 years or something. And we were late to the show. We were driving down the turnpike. Like every 15 seconds there was a car, off the side of the road. It was nasty. And these people who came to the show ended up getting snowed in. And there was only maybe 10 of them, you know, because the weather was just so nasty. They'd all had to go book hotels at the place across the street because nobody could drive out of town. And we showed up and we're kind of debating, well, do we just do an acoustic set and make it easy on ourselves? And, you know what? No, that's phoning it in. That's not what this is about. We ended up pulling everything in the snow. And we were joking yesterday with that guy. It was like, once the show was done, we did, you know, played our asses off. And as soon as the show was over, like the 10 people screamed. You have all this loud music for like an hour, and then it's kind of like silent. And I remember Brian being behind the drum set. He doesn't have a microphone or anything, but well, that was. And everybody kind of laughed. It left a long-term memory for all those people. And for us, too. Those are the kind of shows that you get, you know, you hang out afterwards and you talk to those 10 people. They become friends. And then you see them a couple of years down the road. You know?
Yeah, and they're always rooting for you. They never forget. Aaron, absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. Cheers.
You too.
And there you have it, folks. My interview with Aaron Nordstrom of the band GEMINI Syndrome. The new album is Memento Mori. Now let's head over to Chains Over Razors and Mikey V. The new album is Crown the Villain, and it features a local Quebec talent in the band. Always got to love to support the local guys, but here we go. Here is the one, the only, Mikey V of Chains Over Razors. We are speaking with Mikey Vapor V of the band Chains Over Razors. The new album is Crown the Villain. Good day, sir.
Good day.
It's an exciting release. You've also been working with Carmine Appice Appice, legendary drummer who produced it. Talk to me a little bit about how that came about.
When we originally were going into the idea of recording an album, we really didn't have any songs written or recorded, maybe a couple ideas on a demo form. And we reached out to our agent, explained to him we wanted a producer, and he brought up the idea of Carmine Appice to produce it. And he reached out on our behalf, and Carmine was interested. We weren't really sure yet if it was confirmed or not. So our singer gets a call from Carmine and asked him to meet up with him in New York. And they sat down for quite a few hours and just talking back and forth of what we were envisioning that we wanted to go with our next record. This is a new version of a band that we were all previously in. And, you know, things change, members drop in and out. We felt like we wanted to go just our idea of a new direction of we want something that moves, that's melodic, and just tears your head off. And that was the only thing that we all had in mind. So Carmine heard some of these ideas and was like, I'm interested. Let's do this. And so that blew our minds. We didn't even think a legend like that was even going to be interested in working with us. And we ended up then driving out to New York, and we were in a studio in New Jersey, and we began writing and recording of the record, and just went with whatever happened, and being spontaneous and creative. So, I mean, it was just an absolute, just amazing, just to even be in the same room with this guy who's played with so many legendary artists, and to have him just push us beyond our comfort zone and keep our minds open to what we were doing, and reassure us that, hey, we're not nuts. This is on point. Keep going with it. So that's like the longer story short of it. Weeks did go by though before we even confirmed, and then he eventually called me and was like, "Dude, I'm in. Let's make a record together." And I was just floored. So
yeah.
That's the long story short of it.
Yeah, that's great. Now you know he's played with countless classic musicians and all that. What do you learn from him? What does he bring to the studio and say, hey, guys, this is how you go from being an amateur band to a pro band. This is how you raise your game.
A lot of it was the being spontaneous in what we were writing and going for the moment, and always just kind of having, the recording always going, whether you were recording or not. You never know what was going to come out and be captured. And also with arrangements that, he was always like, well, did you do that already? Yeah, well, don't do it next time. So you're like, oh, okay. So you're constantly reinventing yourself as you were going. And just knowing that, he played with Jeff Beck and all these great players, we would, our nerves were kind of up. My bandmates and I would always say, all right, don't suck today. You got this rock legend over here. But really, he was the creative freedom, I think, is something and that we really learned, and with writing songs. When you go in with an idea that I want it like this, you kind of end up limiting yourself because you're trying to just focus to find that one thing. And with him, he was just like, just do whatever you feel, just let it happen. And that was a new experience for all of us recording with Carmine.
Yeah, that's great. Now, for fans that are hearing this for the first time and are not familiar with Chains Over Razors, what kind of music can they expect? And sort of, this is geared towards the fan of sort of which bands. Where do you sort of see yourself in the whole music genre?
We're definitely in the heavy rock metal genre. We try not to really pigeon ourselves on, certain bands, because we've had so many influences throughout the years, whether it was classics or even modern day bands today. And, as soon as you start saying, okay, well, like this band or that band, people automatically vision, okay, you must sound like that. And just with Carmine producing us and us just being really open, we didn't want to be like, okay, we want to sound like that or that.
Right.
We just wanted to be our own selves. And, occasionally I'll joke around and just tell people, oh, we're smooth jazz, but, but that's the funny side of it, to not pigeonhole us to, okay, well, if you said Alice in Chains, which I love that band, people automatically think, okay, well, they must sound like Alice in Chains. When, as you listen throughout a record, you start hearing a very diverse, there's even songs that even give off the idea of a police feel to it. So you're not just going to get, straight up metal all the time. We kind of try to incorporate a little bit of everything. So we try to generalize what we are to keep people's minds open of what kind of band we are.
And you've got two members in Chicago, one in Montreal. Talk to me a little bit about the difficulty, and Montreal is where I'm from, by the way.
Right.
Talk to me about the difficulties of getting to band rehearsal and getting the group together to play, or is it in this sort of day and age of internet and stuff, it doesn't really matter?
It really doesn't matter. I mean, because of this digital age, communication is so fast and easy today. If you have ideas of songs, you can email it back and forth. So that makes the process a lot easier. And, Canada's not a far drive or a far flight. And since we've been playing together for so long, we already instinctively know who we are in the group. So when any sort of writing does happen, you kind of almost already know what that person might feel out, where they would be at that arrangement. And being that, he is from Canada and flying on in, generally my brother and I are usually prepared while we rehearse with the songs. He comes on in, we rehearse with him, and then we hit the road. So we've never really felt any hiccup on that at all. And usually anything with shows is planned ahead of time, so we also plan accordingly and just have it arranged so it's always a smooth transition for us. So we haven't really felt that, imaginary border, as I call it.
Yeah, it is imaginary, at least to us.
Yeah.
You've done shows with Metal Allegiance. You've got some more shows coming up. In terms of headline shows, what are your plans for the rest of the year?
Well, our first headlining show is going to be in New York at Blackthorn 51, and then the following day we're sharing the stage again, direct support to Metal Allegiance, and then the following day we're also playing with Carmine and Vinny in Syracuse.
The drum battles, right?
Yeah. So those are our first set that we are doing, and then in the very near future in the fall, we are planning on doing some heavy, expensive touring, and continuing that throughout the rest of next year.
As you prepare for the follow-up album, right?
Yeah, in between, as we're touring, we're going back and writing and gathering ideas together, not fully forming it yet, because we do want to keep our mind learning what we learned from Carmine, try to keep it open so that when you do go back to it, you could listen to what you've done and then just open it up from there instead of saying like, okay, well, this song's done. It's really easy to get numb to what you've written from hearing it many times. So this time around, we're trying to keep that spontaneous again happening and just getting the idea, move on, later on, let's go back. And I would love to have Carmine produce it again.
Maybe you have to get Vinny maybe you need to get Vinny for the second one or the next one.
Well, those two will have to battle it out.
Yeah, there you go. Mike, yeah, a great pleasure. The new album is called Crown the Villain, and of course the band is Chains Over Razors. Great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And hope to see you on the road soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers.
And there you have it, folks. My interview with Mikey V of the band Chains Over Razors. The new album is Crown the Villain. And before that, we had Aaron Nordstrom of Gemini Syndrome. Their album is Memento Mori. Certainly hope you enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed making it for you. We will see you soon with another episode and some other great music. And with that, please check me out on Twitter at Mitch Lafon, Facebook, one-on-one Mitch Lafon, and PayPal.me/Mitch Lafon if you care to support the podcast. That is all. Goodbye. Thank you. Auf Wiedersehen. Au revoir. Arigato. I think that's how it goes, right? Oh, no, wait. It's bye for now. Oh, my.